Fictional heroes have been around since the beginning of time and are still around today. But why? Is it because they give us hope? Because they show us that good and evil aren't as defined, or that an ordinary kid can grow up to save the world. This video will talk about the impact heroes in science fiction have had on modern society by taking into consideration the culture of people at the time these heroes were created, how the culture influenced heroes, how heroes influence the culture, and why science fiction never gets old, its impact on society. Firstly, what was the culture like at the time these heroes were created? In 1939, lots of events occurred, including the start of World War II and the creation of the first superhero, Superman. Throughout the 1900s, there was a constant fear, and after seemingly never-ending wars, sexism and racism weren't far away. It was in their culture to be afraid of those who were different or who were a threat to their power. People were afraid to lose what they had come to believe was their right. Whenever people are afraid, they need something to look to for hope. When people are in despair after losing what is precious to them, they need something to believe in. For society, heroes were hope. To try and understand how the culture in the 1900s influenced heroes, the heroes from DC Comics and Star Trek will be looked at. Superman was one of the first superheroes created by DC Comics who gave people hope. In comics, he was fighting evil masterminds such as Ultra-Humanite or Lex Luthor, who had taken over Europe and were trying to plunge the world into war, while in real life, Americans were fighting Hitler in Europe. When women were first allowed to help as a part of the war, Wonder Woman was created. Throughout World War II, superheroes played a part in giving hope to those in despair, especially with the creation of Captain America. His debut, punching Hitler in the face, gave even those considered weak by society hope, showing how a small boy with a lot of heart and courage and a little super serum can become a hero. Sexism and racism were two factors from the time which influenced Gene Roddenberry, the creator of Star Trek, and James Bond. Throughout Star Trek there were very few women who were given important positions, many of which had strong individualism and were disposed of at the end of each episode. In a detailed analysis of Star Trek, J. William Snyder states, "It turned down the opportunity to break new ground in the area of women's rights and opted for a largely passive and secondary role for its female characters." This is reflective of America during the late 1960s, where the feminist movement was starting to gain momentum but failed to exert the force that it came to during the early 1970s. Whilst these heroic stories reflected the culture of the time in many ways, they also influenced the culture. The biggest influence would be of Uhura, the highest-ranking female officer aboard the USS Enterprise. Not only was this hero female, but also black. Able to accomplish anything without male assistance, she was the exact opposite of the stereotypical woman. Ignoring culture, she was different than the average, and instead changed culture. Between her and Captain Kirk, there was also the first interracial kiss shown on television. Turning many heads, people took this as the start of something new. At the heart of all these heroes lies fiction. It can be said that heroes are needed as much in society today as they did in the past. While the chances of a World War III are smaller, people still look for something or someone to look up to. Science fiction focuses more on our fears now, and heroes are needed to rescue us. Heroes will always have an impact on society, as fear will never disappear and there will always be bad guys to battle. In summary, science fiction has had an extraordinary impact on modern society. This was found by taking into consideration the culture of people at the time heroes were created, how the culture influenced heroes, and how heroes influenced the culture. All of this suggests why science fiction never gets old. Everybody needs hope, fictional or not.
Created using Powtoon.